Good morning, good evening, bonjour, bonsoir à tous, et bienvenue. Welcome to this week's edition of the Wada Forum, March 13th, 2025. This lovely day, we will be going through some different things. We had our big session last week. Where we got some new information about the intersect budget. So we want to share with you how that is evolving and updates. And then we want to go into as well, we have mentioned the Singularity Net RFPs that are happening on the SNet side of the world. And we wanted to give some of our colleagues the chance to present on different RFPs that they have submitted. So that's kind of our main agenda for today. Next slide. Here are some knowledge-based resources for Intersect, Cardano Foundation, and Singularity Net. Great resources if you need to find any more information than what was shared on the call today. Next. All right, the statement of purpose. Our mission here at the Wada Forum is to elevate underrepresented groups through the application of technology and invest in a more equitable future. Okay, just to highlight again the Wada Forum's new meeting cadence. So you all have maybe caught on by now, I hope. But we are switching things up a bit this year. We will have weekly sessions, of course, but the first session of the month will focus on a bigger event, and then the other sessions will be more internal to the Wada hubs, etc. And that's what you're seeing here today. This is our internal breakout. Last week was that bigger session. So look for the first session of the month to be one of these bigger events. And last week we started streaming them on Twitter, which seemed to be quite popular. So we are planning to continue doing something like that going forwards to make them more accessible. So next, jumping into, anyone who missed that bigger session last week, like I said, it was streamed on X. So, we saw some people here in the Zoom call. Some people may have even been listening in anonymously on X. So unsure of, who was here and who was not. But we were joined by some members of the various Intersect committees to discuss some important updates that are happening on the Intersect budget process. And instead of going too deep into what was discussed, I actually want to share, because there have been some updates since then. So I wanted to just share with you all the current information that we have on the Cardano budget submission process. So let me post in the chat the link where you can find all of this information. And then we will share screen. So essentially the big update of all of this is some people were disgruntled about how the Intersect budget process was unfolding. And in reaction to this, the budget committee agreed to take a step back and rethink about how they were going to handle submissions to the Intersect budget, and have essentially opened the doors wide open for everyone and anyone to make a request to the Cardano Intersect budget. So yeah, Richmond, if you would be so kind to share the screen of the doc, what do you call it? Like a wiki that I put in the chat. We had some slides, but we realized that the slides that had been shared are slightly out of date and the information on the website is more accurate. So we wanted to just share here. So yeah, we'll just scroll down. So the recalibrating, this is what we heard from us. We wanted more community feedback and the need to adapt. Scroll down, changes to how providers are selected. So this is where it's getting interesting. It's all condensed into the next couple of weeks, but we'll get to the timeline shortly. But changes to how the selection process is happening. So there's fund management. Okay. There is an application now for anyone who wants to submit through the Intersect website a request for funding, and you can follow that. WADA plans to submit one, and we're finalizing that internally and hope to share some more details on it next week. But essentially, anyone can submit. The partners of Sunday Labs and I don't know how to pronounce this, Cerebus, are developing smart contracts for how it actually will distribute the funds with transparency. But in terms of here, and then Nana Sapo, I don't know if you wanted to go over the updates in the net change limit. I know you have some more insight.
Yeah, so briefly, I can just add to the discussion, right, or the presentation that initially, we're looking at proposing 350 million ADA net change limit. But now, because of the change in the processes, right, it has become relevant for us to consider perhaps any alternative that are available and then present them to the community to sort of decide which way they want to go. And if I say community here, I'm referring to DREPs, right? And of course, if you're a community member, ADA holder, on platforms like X and on Cardano forums, you can always voice your concerns to ensure that at least you're also being heard in terms of contributing to the whole process. So right now, as it stands, the 350 million ADA net change limit is an option in terms of proposal. And then there's also another option that is probably going to come up pretty soon. And that is probably going to be put together by Jose. And that will be looking at we having a net change limit that focuses on having a percentage of the treasury, right, as a cap for withdrawing from the treasury in the year. So these are the two options that, is probably developing. We don't know yet if there's going to be any further additions or add-ons, but at least for now, we can say that the two options that we probably may be looking to actually consider, one of them would be the 350 million ADA, which is a flat fee, and then the percentage cut as well. So that is the update that I have for the community with regards to the net change limit.
Okay, thanks. Glad you could jump in and illuminate there. And I hope that we can hear some more from Jose. They had kind of mentioned, that he had this idea, but I think it would be good to get some more from him on that. And is Mercy in the house?
I am indeed in the house, and I can add something very little to what you've both said. So in terms of the net change limit, one thing that we need to remember is that because the net change limit sets the upper limit, right? It's almost like in countries like US, they have something like the debt ceiling, right? Like it just is an upper limit that as a community, we agree that we are not going to spend beyond the annual net change limit. So basically, what we are trying to say right now with regards to this new process is that the net change limit needs to be proposed on chain for it to be accepted before we can even realistically propose a budget. So that's something that we need to bear in mind. And then also, the new process, one of the key emphasis of the new process is the fact that the technical product roadmap is sort of taking the lead, right, in terms of how all these budgets will be. Right now, as we know, or we may not know, the product roadmap is on chain. It's receiving votes, to get the community's consensus through the DREBs that, yeah, we like this a technical roadmap. So that will sort of set the stage for us to, proceed in a step-by-step way. As to how the rest of the other stuff will pan out, Intersect is still trying to settle on that a bit more. So I hope that adds to, sort of the big picture.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks for the interjection, Mercy. I feel like for the first time I really understood the net change limit. I think I was getting lost in the language they're using, honestly. They make things so hard to understand. But no, this is good. So maybe let's go scroll down what this all means for us. They're highlighting the fact that DREPs are going to be the ones to make decisions. Honestly, it's a whole process, and anyone can be a DREP, right? So you're either working through yourself as a DREP or through the person you're delegated to as a DREP or through someone as a DREP, etc. But it's the DREPs and Intersect working groups who will ultimately be part of this decision-making process together, which is a modification on, I guess, what had been happening is that the decision process had been much more internal to the working groups. So they're trying to open this up through a series of workshops, etc. And I don't know if Nana Safayu or Mercy had any more details on the specifics of workshops or specifics of how the community will be involved, as an update from, what's on here, which is not super specific and what was kind of mentioned before last week.
If I may go, and then Nana Safa can join in. To the best of my knowledge, as of right now, I don't think that things have significantly changed to the fact that DREPs will be having a bigger say. Or maybe should I even say beyond what it has been shared over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely I think one thing that we need to, I don't know if this will complicate things a bit more, but I think one thing that we need to remember, and Lloyd did make mention of it last week, for those of us that have been sort of engaging on the Cardano Forum, looking at the various committees and their budgets, that is not going to be thrown away. We don't know at what point we will be engaging more intimately with that. Obviously, now we are saying that there'll be a lot of responsibilities on the DREPs. But that budget is not going to go away. Any vendor can go and say, look through those bucket lines and say, okay, yeah, this is something that I'll be able to do I will not be able to do that, and so on and so forth, right? So that is something that we need to remember. Right now, and I don't want to stick my neck out on this, but what I heard is that overall, we might be sticking to the original time frame, which is June thereabouts, for money to start going out to the community for work to be done. Even despite, so that was the original timeline. And this new process, apparently, that could still be the timeline. As to how the DREPs are going to be engaged, we are still not sure. Obviously, over the past week to the past weekend, Charles and a delegation of Intersect and IO staff spent quite a bit of time. I believe that some of them might still be in Japan to engage with the Japanese DREPs. So that's something that was done with, some of us had the opportunity to join online to that. There wasn't any more specific information with that. So right now, what I will advise as a group is we engage with the product roadmap, figure out, even though it's very technical at this time, but let's just get in there, figure out how we can, as I said, engage with that a bit more, ask ourselves some questions in terms of how can this work in our hubs situation, for instance, and then let's figure out what the next steps are. I think I'll throw it over to Nana Safo if he has anything else to add.
Yeah, I would just add a few. So, in terms of where DREPs will be engaged, like making decisions as to which proposals should go through and then which should not go through. I think the last time I asked Lloyd, and then he was like, "We are probably going to make use of these forums, like Cardano Forum, right? To sort of, and also there's, there you mentioned that there are four tooling companies who are currently working on developing a tool for that purpose. And I know that obviously Tempo.vote, they are one. And I think Gav2, they're also going to do something, and maybe either start and maybe 1694.io, right? So they are all developing tools that will enable DREPs to actually vote on proposal that should go through. So it would be more like a temperature check something, right? Not necessarily casting votes like real votes, and then this proposal now goes through, and then they'll kind of present it as governance actions later on. And also the part that Messi mentioned that we should probably be looking at the product roadmap. It's very relevant. And it is not going to be just a product roadmap. Okay. Of course, we all know that the product you're talking about here is Cardano as a product. So it is very important that you pay attention to the roadmap for at least the few years to come if you really want to be relevant in the ecosystem in terms of contribution. But you would also have to pay some sort of attention to the other committees and what they're also seeking to propose as budgets, right? And like Messi mentioned, for instance, as WADA, we're probably going to look into what kind of activities we can render as a vendor, right? And then make our submissions in the form of proposals to sort of see if we'll be selected to implement. So if you are here as well, and then you have a vendor, you have a vendor as an entity, and I encourage that you look through these various committees and their budget items, and then identify the ones that you can actually render as a service, and then go for it. Other than that, you can always come to us as WADA, and then I believe we'll be glad to work together as well. So yeah, that is pretty much what I'll add to what Messi said. So yeah, let's look out for that particular tool that they are developing, and then from there we can take it from there.
Excellent. So now let's just focus in on next steps and timeline in terms of what they have on here. So as I mentioned, this is, kind of a quick moving process. They've obviously been working on this in the background for months. I don't know exactly how many, but it kind of came at the time of vote of a bit of a realization of needing to take a step back. But that step back is really just for the month of March in terms of the time that you have to submit any kind of a proposal. And then March through April is the actual deliberation in terms of vendor proposals, which vendor is going to be chosen for that governance action to go on chain. And then hoping in the May-June timeline to actually submit the governance action. And then this comes as a two-part thing, remember, right? So there'll be the info action that approves the document of the budget. And then there'll be a treasury withdrawal action that will actually be withdrawing the funds and then those smart contracts to disperse them to the appropriate vendors. So that's kind of the process. And then just kind of to put it all in context as well, one of the things in this budget is Catalyst. So, people wondering what's going on with Fund 14, et cetera. This is something that's pending this process and is pending, these line items being approved to continue forwards with the next Catalyst funding. So not to confuse the Intersect budget with Catalyst funding, but just to understand how they're related, I think is relevant. So I know Marcia and Savo jumped in a couple of times, but is there anyone else who has anything to add or even has questions on what we talked about? Like I said, WADA plans to be following this, and we mentioned, we'll keep everyone up to date in terms of what we find about specific working groups, et cetera. But I think we should be able to share something, at least high level, next week in terms of what we hope to support with in the Intersect budget. And if anyone here wants to be a part of that process, feel free to reach out to any of us here on the call, either Nana, Safu, Mercy, myself, or Samuel, to get involved in that with us. All right.
Sorry, Megan,
Yeah,
I just
go
wanted
ahead.
to add, it's not a question, just an add-on, right? I know that at least for those of us in this group, on this particular call, if not all, then most of us have relied heavily on Catalyst funding to sort of get our activities going. And you know what? And I want to encourage that you see this as an opportunity to actually go a step further with, in terms of looking for funding to go about your operations as a hub, right? And that is certainly what WADA is also looking to do or help you achieve. So feel free to, come out, reach out and, discuss what your plans are. And then let's see how best we can all help each other by integrating our ideas into a common vision and probably submitting something useful to get, relevant funding, right? Let me put it that way, relevant funding, so that we can achieve, the greater dreams that we all have as individuals and as hubs and, as an entity.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think we can pull this screen down. If there's no more questions, we can move on to the other funding opportunities out there. So we've talked a lot today about Cardano and Catalyst and Intersect, but we are also, aware of things that are going on the Singularity Net side of things. And in fact, recently, they are going through a funding round over there. They call it deep funding. And in particular, I believe there are some members on the call here today who submitted, they call them RFP, requests for proposals, in some of the different rounds. So I think I see Dan here. Dan, are you still here?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hello, Megan. How are you doing?
Welcome. Well, I believe that a couple of weeks ago, we were trying to get you on to share about one of your RFPs that you submitted.
Yes, of course.
Are you prepared to share about it today?
Yeah, I was not prepared, but yes, as I'm in the call, I can even share my screen and kind of explain and present the project. I was supposed to present last week, but I was away. I was in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, but I'm now back, and then I can present something about the project.
All right. Well, that would be fantastic. And is there anyone else here that would like to present after?
Yeah, Megan. So I think Sam has the list. And
okay.
if you don't mind, you could just hand over to him as a moderator, and then maybe he facilitates this.
Samuel, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I stepped on your thunder.
No, Megan,
it was just about to strike.
I was just on a moderation roll.
Yeah.
But
no.
let me pass over the microphone right now to Samuel to just set the framework for the next part. Thanks, Samuel. Thanks, Nana Sapo.
That's okay, Megan. Nana Sapo just wants to put me on the spot. I was really happy when you carried this. I thought you were running, and I was happy here. But that's okay. But just as you said, yes, our members have been working hard, submitting proposals to do funding, and yes, this is the time to showcase the ideas. So just as you have already invited Dambaruka, who is ready to share his screen and take us through, then I won't waste my time. Just take us through. Then after yours, I will invite the others that are on the show and ready to showcase their ideas. Dambaruka, take over. You're on mute if you are talking.
Okay. Thank you. I was still the mic was muted. Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen if I'm able to do it. So thank you again for giving me this opportunity to present the project. The project name is AgriHealth AI. So it's under the beneficial AI solution category, focusing on agri-tech and smart farming. So
okay.
The project is an AI-driven platform that provides a real-time insight to farmers, enabling them to make informed decision to maximize productivity by leveraging satellite imagery, soil quality, and weather data. The platform offer personalized recommendation to improve crops health, optimize irrigation, and enhance sustainability. Unlike traditional smart farming solutions, AgriHealth does not really rely on cost IoT devices. I don't know if you know IoT devices. It's like
Internet of Things.
Sorry?
No, Internet of Things, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily need to have some kits to get more information. So we use AI to directly get more information about about the weather, about for example, if you are trying to do something in Congo or in Uganda or in other country, there are a lot of data about that country or that specific region. So we use those information to get more and to give more recommendation to smallholders and commercial farmers. So we've just requested 19 USD dollar, 19,000 USD dollar for the project. And the project has 3 milestones. The first one is to make the AI model development using OpenAI key and other key from SingularityNet directly. And the second milestone is to make the platform itself and the mobile development. The last one will be the pilot testing with farmers and full deployment and scaling the project. In summary, that's our project. Yeah, and thank you. If there is any question, there we come. Yeah. So we got some good feedback. Yeah, as seen in the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously there are questions. I see Boaz put some question in the chat. I'm trying to pull it up. Boaz wants to know the scope of the project, and number 2, is the project a concept, or that's already okay. That's what Boaz wants to know.
Okay. So we started the project. We started the project since 2022, I think. And we try to make some prototype with IoT devices, and it costs a lot. So the scope of the project is to make. I don't know if I'm answering to the question, but we need to make a small project which can be used with smallholders and commercial holders with low cost. To get more information about their farmer, I think, if I say it well. So we need to make sure that even smallholders or commercial farmers can both use AI to get more prediction about their project or about their farming. And then the second is the project concept. Okay. Yeah. Of course, the main project was AgroApp. AgroApp, as I said, it was using some IoT devices, but now we remove it and we replace it with AI. I don't know if I answered to Boaz's question.
Yeah, sure. And thank you very much. Is there any questions around, or maybe we'll do it this way? We can let other people come in with their proposals, and then people can note their questions down. And after we have done it back to back, we can go to the questions. We don't waste a lot of time or get the opportunity to let everybody in terms of showcasing the ideas. Next, thank you, Dambarika. Next, I want to go to Abdul Rahman. Abdul put in a proposal in the BGI Nexus, and he has an interesting story to share with us. I will let him share and possibly take feedback. I believe that will guide future events in terms of the funding round. Abdul, kindly unmute, tell us what happened with the proposal.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Can anybody hear from me, please confirm?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. I am supposed to have proposed as well, but I was saying organized as I speak now. I'm on transit to start to speak a little bit about my experience regarding the posters. My proposal does not pass the first phase of BGI Nexus review. The review criteria are expected to have expectation of four criteria to check. The first one is to be technical. The second one is to cover ethical standard and safety. Then it must be impactful, and then it must be unique in terms of innovation. So I don't know which of these four criteria that my proposal does not check, which makes it not to scale to the second phase. The rule was very strict in the sense that all the four that I mentioned must be checked. The first two are only yes or no, while the second, the third and the fourth one regarding impact and innovation were supposed to be on a scale of 1 to 10, and you must meet at least 7. If per venture, maybe you check 3 and you miss 1, you did not qualify for 1. So the rule is that the proposal should not move forward to the next stage of expert review. I found that very process a very interesting one to filter out noise from quality proposal. But then it was a really big surprise to me. I was opportune to be part of the expert review at deep funding, so being part of their review circle. So it happens to be that there are a lot of proposals that were able to even scale to the second phase, but in my own experience, I think they were not supposed to be. And I can't make any views, I can't make any comment as of now regarding that. But it's a very first time of BGI Nexus doing this. And I think from there, they will learn from feedback. And at the same time, for every single person that will be proposing an idea, at this point in time, deep funding is very translating into a very strict manner, not to just fund any other proposal, but a very quality one and have a very good impact. So that being said, out of 91 proposals, only 60, about 59 or 58 made it to the second phase. And I can bet with you in the second phase as well, I don't know what the decision will be, but there is a final column where we are asked to either reject or accept the proposal as a final recommendation. So some of proposals in the second phase as well will be rejected. What I'm not sure about that is if those rejected proposals will make it into the voting pool or not. But what is certain is that any proposal that does not make it to the second phase will not make it into the voting pool. So that is what I want to share as a feedback. And I won't be able to share much about the proposal in particular as of now. Maybe by next week, I'll share much about it and see how far we can make it more standard. So the whole experience the lesson learned is that we must always pay attention to expectations like the requirement of any particular type of round that we are submitting ideas to. Even though there was no any kind of the belief that the safety and ethics is a very complex terms. So relying solely on reviewer that we cannot even check their experiences to validate whether a proposal qualify or not. Another problem or issues that I found really interesting topic that we can discuss about. So in all, I would really advise that we pay attention to requirements and stuff like that. And for that, as an additional, the funding is trying to diversify the way by which they fund ideas. So they are much really focusing on RFP as of now, while they are still working on the round. Energies all energies are on RFP now. So there are a lot of initiatives that are coming out very soon. Particularly, we are talking about AI for peace, where people can submit idea. It does not require technicality or you have to build any kind of a product or whatever the case may be. Just that bring the idea. How can we build an AI solution to for peace building in the global landscape? Yeah. So if anybody has such an idea, if the idea is selected, without building anything, non-technicality required, so you'll be getting paid for that, $1,000. So if that very idea got to be to the level of a standard RFP, people can propose solutions under, so you'll still be getting about $2,000 for that, meaning that your idea is coming to life, people want to build around it. So that is what I want to share regarding deep funding and BGI Nexus as of now, in my own experience.
Yes, thank you very much for your experience. Boaz is asking if you could share the link to your proposal. The lesson learned, always pay attention to requirements. It's called the rules of engagement. That's very good.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have time for anybody to make any reactions to this because time is running out and we have some more proposals to showcase. So maybe we can do that maybe later on the show or maybe another time. But let me straight go to Megan. Megan from the Grapevine, DIT put in some proposal. Are you ready to share with us?
We did put in a proposal. Unfortunately, Monfo is not available to present.
Yes.
I see.
and that is
And
why
then maybe I
I'm
kind of have
asking-
a question for other people because this is my first time submitting an RFP. But like, if I'm to share my screen on this, everything is still locked. So I won't be able to share much in terms of sharing screen unless I share my own internal document, which isn't that view friendly. But do we know how, when they get unlocked, or what's the process for the and this is the RFP community hub program. Does anyone know?
Yeah, Nana Sahosan is up and Nana, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think you don't necessarily need to share your screen, right? Because the idea here is to just convey what you submitted in like sort of a verbal presentation. You just tell us the idea that you have and you have submitted. Tell us about it, and then we can you can share the link, and then those who want to read extensively can actually follow up and go and read. And like you are saying, it is true. Once the proposals are submitted and they are in the internal review stage, they are locked so that you don't have access to editing it, right? But if you share the link, anybody with the link can actually go and read details about the proposal.
Okay, I guess I was just curious. It seems like it's been locked for a while, so I didn't know if there was info about when it was unlocking. But I can give a quick just overview. So we put a proposal into the community hubs. The proposal name is Bongi Hub African Language Preservation with AI. And really the crux of our proposal is to use and leverage AI to support with language preservation in terms of native languages. I know, throughout all the different African countries, there's a plethora of native languages. In Cameroon, there's over 200. And so the idea of this proposal is to create, a space to really focus on how we can leverage AI within the African language models. And something that we've come across in our research for this is something called the Mandombi script, which is kind of like, think of it as a linguistic binder for the African languages. So designed to structurally unify Bantu and other indigenous languages. And this is a framework that could naturally fit into AI-driven natural language processing models, but has not yet been integrated, probably due to kind of the Western language dominance in programming and technology in general. So I don't want to spend too much time talking. I think that's the crux of what we're hoping to start working on through this proposal.
Yes, and that was been good for the time that we have left. That's high level and it's all good. Quickly, let me go to Nana Safo, who will take us through proposal put in on behalf of WADA.
Thanks, Samuel. And thanks to everybody for sharing your ideas and experience with us. I think it is very relevant that, we do share some of these things so that it encourages the rest of the community to, time and time, follow through some of these platforms and opportunities to also put forth their ideas and thoughts and see if they can get funding for themselves. And in doing so, WADA, in this particular DF5, under the community hubs, Wada did submit a proposal, and the name of the proposal is Integrating Deep Funding into Wada Hub Networks. And the idea on a very high level is to, get some funding from deep funding and then use that funding to sort of educate and train our community or hub networks with regards to how they can effectively participate in deep funding activities, right? I would use Abdul Rahman's case study. A scenario as a case study here, in a sense that sometimes we get to see the opportunity, but as to how we can exactly go about the opportunity to actually make the most out of it, it's a bit difficult, like when we are doing it all by ourselves. So we believe that if, for instance, as an entity like WADA, if we are able to, educate our network, right, about how they can even go about submitting proposals into some of these opportunities, then it becomes a very relevant, initiative to ensure that our community is making meaningful participation in this ecosystem or communities. So on a high level, over 4 milestones, we aim to, run workshops and also foster partnerships that will ensure that, our hub networks or our community members have been, run through a series of training that ensures that at least they have had a fair grasp of what it is when we say you need to submit a proposal into deep funding funding rounds, right? So at the end of the day, we'll have individuals who are very committed and want to take up the initiative to submit some proposals that will actually guide them to sort of refine it even better and then submit into the next deep funding round and see if we can get funding from there to actually implement. So that is on a high level what we are asking 10,000 USD to implement as an entity. So do look out for it. I'm sure once we get funded, we will be engaging all of you as hub members or hub networks to help us with implementation of this particular project. And please, when the time is due, do count yourself as part of it. Don't stay back. Just be part of it, and then let's see how we can all make good use of this opportunity. Thanks, Samuel, and thanks to everybody.
And thank you very much, Nana Safo. And that wraps up our WADA Community Proposal Showcase. A big thank you to everyone who presented, engaged, and shared valuable feedback. I believe your contributions strengthen our ecosystem and, of course, push great ideas forward. So let's keep the momentum going and let's all add to your proposals. Megan, take over and close us. We are a few minutes away to time.
All right. Well, this, was an action-packed session. So thanks everyone who was able to make it today. We have just a couple of things to look for in the next session. Sort of a quick announcement. Some of you may have heard this already, but they have already started announcing the committee elections coming up in April, which is, only a month away. So it's time for us to start strategizing on that, and we will definitely allow some time in the next meeting to go over that some more. Another thing that I forgot to mention at the beginning of the call, but meant to also make an announcement on, many of you know kind of my involvement in some different organizations within the Cardano ecosystem, one of them being FOTREC. So FOTREC is sponsoring a sociocracy course and is inviting external community members to participate with us in the course. It's just 6 hours of instruction spanning the month of April, and WADA is interested in co-sponsoring the course with FOTREC for a few seats. If there is anyone in our community who's interested in participating, please reach out to me directly if you're interested in hearing more about a sociocracy course, learning the fundamentals of sociocracy. Like I said, it would be just a 6 hour 6 hours of instruction spanning the Thursdays of April. So please reach out to me if you're interested in that. And otherwise, I think that concludes our content for today. Thank you, everyone.
Sorry, Megan, I have an announcement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. All right, so I just wanted to put this out. If you are delegating to a DREP and for whatever reason you sort of withdraw your ADA from your wallet and then maybe you go and use it and then later, you get the ADA back and then you bring it back to your wallet, right? Please do well to redelegate your stake to the DREP or perhaps a new DREP if you want to. I'm saying this because if, for instance, you delegate your wallet that contains 1,000 ADA to, say, DREP X today, and then you withdraw that funds, say, a week later or 2 weeks later or even tomorrow, right? And then let's say in about 1 month's time, you get 1,000 ADA back or maybe 2,000 ADA, and now you bring this money back to your wallet. You may think that because your wallet is already delegated, it automatically captures it, but it doesn't capture it. So you would have to redelegate to ensure that the system captures your stake as a delegator. So please, that's an announcement I wanted to share with you. Thanks.
And if they are confused as to how they can redelegate the shoe, just look for Wada DREP and delegate to us. So, thank you.
Certainly. Or better has to reach out to me on WhatsApp. I'm happy to help.
Sure. Abdul, do you want to say something quickly before we go?
Yeah, I wanted to ask. Where I'll be reaching out to Megan to ask more questions about the sociocratic by Potrex. I think I got some. Like, I want to be sure of how does the co-sponsoring implies, because I got to understand that in the feedback they will be charging 90 ADA to enroll on the course. So yeah, what does it mean if Wada is co-sponsoring the course? Like, does it stand the same thing?
Oh, okay. So you're the one who reached out to us. Perfect. So essentially this initiative was started through FOTREC as sponsoring, FOTREC members on the course. And from the FOTREC perspective, we wanted to charge external members. However, WADA wanted to co-sponsor and support, any of our members, such as yourself. If you want support paying for the course, WADA could potentially support from that perspective based on, interest. There are a total of 29 seats available for the course. We're still gathering internal feedback on how many seats are already taken. So it's not an infinite number, but we can support you if you want to take the course, and the 90 ADA is a hurdle. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, definitely I'm interested.
Great. Okay.
I think I am too, Megan. I'm going to reach out to you.
Okay.
I'll reach out to you too, Megan. Well,
yeah.